going to go ahead and get started. I'm Chris Pendleton. I'm the Virtual Earth Tech Evangelist for Microsoft Virtual Earth. I sit in the product group, and today we're going to talk about developing applications with Microsoft Virtual Earth. I'll give you an overview for those of you who haven't seen it. This is a technical session, level 200, so we will go into the code, and I'll show some features, show some code, and then I'll show some examples of other customers and developers who've integrated Virtual Earth. I've got one announcement, and I've got one preview. And I'm going to do the daring task of taking on licensing, which has always been a big question. So I'm going to give you some overview about that as well. I'm guessing, there we go. Okay. So first, some clarification. I always like to go over this slide because there's some branding issues with some of our products. When I talk about Virtual Earth, it's an AJAX API. It's a map control that gets embedded into your web page. Okay? That's what we're going to talk about today. We'll go deep on that. MapPoint Web Service is a SOAP XML service. It's kind of our legacy platform for mapping. Still around, still have a lot of people using it, but Virtual Earth is next generation. Talk about live search maps. That is our consumer offering. So when you want to go get maps, local listings, directions, we send you to live search maps. Live search maps is powered by the Virtual Earth platform, underlying technology. And then we also have Map Cruncher, which is a tool that came out of Microsoft Research. And basically what it allows you to do is take your own images, your own maps, quote-unquote crunch them or rasterize them and overlay them on top of Virtual Earth so you have a native integration with these rasterized maps and Virtual Earth maps. For more info, you can go to this website here. So, without further delay, let's go into what exactly is Virtual Earth and some of its features. So from an architectural perspective, this is what it looks like. Microsoft hosts a ton of data on the left here for our geocoding engines, for our mapping data, for our route geometry, for our local search listings, for our 3D environment, for our 3D models and the textures. You make requests through the internet from your applications directly from the client. So instead of making server requests, you're making them directly from a client. You're going to serve up a web page or an application, forms-based application, and that application will make direct requests from the client to Microsoft. That Microsoft data, 15 petabytes. Anyone want to take on that storage? What are the features? It's got an AJAX interface. I think I've said that 3 times now. Geocoding capabilities. Dive into the details about geocoding. Geocoding actually has many facets. There's 3 types of geocoding that we do at Microsoft. First, we do interpolation, which is what most people do. It's just kind of an estimate on the block. 0 to 100 block, I give you 75. That's about 3/4 of the way up the block. That's why when you live on a long street that has a long entryway and no houses, your address doesn't geocode properly. Well, we've actually introduced what we call rooftop geocoding. Rooftop geocoding gives you pinpoint accuracy on the top of a roof for 44 million addresses across the US. So when you're looking at a cartographic map, an interpolated geocode's, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's okay. But when you switch to an aerial photo, and the high adoption rate of aerial photography, it's not good enough anymore. So we've got rooftop accuracy for 44 million geocodes. We're going to roll out another 20 million in a couple months. When I talk about mapping, I'm talking about not just our cartographic maps, I'm talking about our aerial photography, both orthographic, which is the straight up and down that you're used to, and the oblique, bird's eye photography. I'll show you that. Driving directions, routing, route geometry is available in Virtual Earth. 3D environment, browser-based 3D environment, I'll show you that. Some data sets that we have today and are going to continue to build on, roll out some, and then our tool set, which is actually our API. So the best site to demo Virtual Earth is actually our consumer site. So let me show you some of the features here. You're all pretty familiar by now, hopefully, with AJAX maps. Just grab this, move it around. I can zip down. If I use my middle mouse wheel to drag a square, a little marquee, I can actually zoom in a little faster. We have these maps around the world. We have street level data in 74 countries. So you can see that. Switch to aerial photos. Just an aerial photograph. This is a satellite photograph. But what we do at a certain level is switch to a true aerial photo. Aerial photography is captured from airplanes, not satellites. And you'll see that the quality is starkly different when you switch to an aerial photo. We also overlay the roads on our aerial photos and our satellites. So we can actually zip down to any location here. Here you see we've got all these hotels labeled. So we'll just zip down to Venetian, and you can see just how high resolution our photography is because it's not satellite. We can see cars driving down the strip. So super high resolution photography is an important part of our platform. When I talk about oblique photography, I'm referring to our bird's eye photography. This gives you a different perspective on the same area. Super high resolution photography with an angled lens. And I can rotate this. We actually do 2 flight passes, one in one direction going north-south, one going east-west. Camera's facing in 2 directions, so we have to do it 4 times. And super high resolution photography to allow you to really pinpoint what a location looks like. Our motto in the Virtual Earth group is we want to make people know what it's like to be there without actually being there. And this gives you that opportunity. And you can develop on this platform. You know, I'm here to talk about our platform today, not necessarily our consumer site. The platform underlying all of what I'm showing you today is available in the platform. So you can develop against this. You can draw vectors on top of this data for better perspective on different types of information. What about data feeds? So we've got a traffic data feed today. It's available through the API. It's a flip of a switch, and it turns on our traffic data flow information. So we've got incident data here. There we go. The actual flows, there they go, come on as well. On our consumer site today, obviously you're going to want to know how to get somewhere. There's a right-click menu. Not a lot of people know about that, so I thought I'd throw a plug for them. We have a lot of different options here, but I wanted to show the routing algorithm. From any point in our platform, you can actually just right-click and get a lat long, convert a pixel to lat long. So I could drive from here without knowing the address. You know, and then, I don't know, maybe I want to end up in San Diego, my hometown. If any of you read my blog, you know I'm from San Diego. And we'll get a route, and we'll get step-by-step directions. But what is neat and what's unique is I can choose a route based on traffic. So what this will do is it'll modify my route based on traffic patterns today. So when I've got this area of red, it will actually take me through some side streets instead of taking me through gridlock. So there's a good algorithm there for navigating traffic. So that's what I consider one of our data feeds, right? You're going to see more and more. We also have yellow page listings and whatnot included there. But what about our 3D client? How's this look in 3D? Well, the good news is anything you could do in 2D, you could do in 3D also. And I'll show you an example of that. So this is our in-browser 3D experience. Instead of downloading a fat client and loading, a different program, we're actually still in the browser, right? And I can navigate this down. And it's still a tile-based system. So I'm using the tiles that we had to create our 2D maps in 3D. And this just looks like a normal aerial photo. But you can see the difference here in the models that are standing out. I can navigate this map 360 degrees. Or I can tilt it. So I've got an immersive 3D environment in the browser now. I don't have to send somebody somewhere else. I keep them in my application, right? We've got scaled models here and photo texturing. So not only do we have these scaled models that you can use and show information about, but you actually get to see what they look like. We use a process called photogrammetry, where we do a flight pass over a specific city with a special camera. And based on photography, we generate all these models. These are all machine-generated models. There's no manual intervention here. So it allows us to scale out real nicely. And you're going to see the resolution on these get a lot better over time. I'm actually in a hotel here. Let me move out of the way. I think the best example of this is New York. Vegas is always stunning because of the cool hotels and whatnot. But connection's going down here. Ooh. Let's allow that. Switch. Well. All right, I killed it. Yes. That's awesome. Let's try that again. I have like 8 apps running for the last hour, and I refuse to close my browser, so now I just have to do it again. Since I left in 3D, it's going to bring me back in 3D, and we'll try New York City one more time. There we go. We'll switch to the hybrid mode. So the models for New York City are pretty stunning when you see just how many there really are, how many buildings there really are in New York. I think the most stunning part about this is it took us 2 days, only 2 days, to create all of New York City, all of Manhattan. 2 days. It's pretty wild.
Can you say something about the tools you use to create your models?
I'm not the right person for that. For asking about the tools to create the models, basically came through an acquisition called of our Bexel company. So we could talk about that in the sandbox afterwards. Okay, so go back to the deck here. Okay, so I just demoed that. So let's code. To create any virtual Earth application, you need 3 things. One is a link to the map control, single line of code. Right, JavaScript link. 2 is a method for actually calling the map control. So there's a number of methods included in Virtual, or something like 125 methods for using the map control, rendering lines, polygons, whatnot. And then you actually need a div tag to actually put the map into. So this map control comes over the web, and you just need a place to put it. Okay? So there we go. I think I'm the only person that can actually create a hello world application, a true hello world, right? Because I'm actually rendering world, right? So here we go. First thing we want to do, I really wish this clicker worked better. There we go. So there's our 1 line of code to link to the map control, right? Very basic. This is just very basic application. Next thing I want to do is create a method for accessing the map control. So I created a method, I created a variable for the map, and then I created a method called getMap. I instantiated the VE map, and that first parameter, the only parameter in it right here, is the name of the div, right? And then I just call map.loadMap. And map.loadMap actually has a ton of parameters, but you can also leave it blank, and it'll just do a default map. So what does that look like? I have to call these back up. So for that little bit of code, I actually get this application. Ajax maps, 2D, 3D, road, aerial, hybrid, bird's eyes included. Good zooming technology there. Switch to bird's eye. With just that little bit of code, that's what I get. Pretty powerful for just, a couple lines of code, right? I mean, this is HTML. This is front-end development, right? And then there's the actual div in which I put my map. Very, very basic stuff, right? Okay. So I did want to show another demo. Wayne, or Where Are You Now, is actually a social networking site based on location. And what they do is, people just kind of say, "Where are you? What are you doing?" For this site, they've got their own little map here. We're going to dive into that. And we can just see all the different locations of people, right? But I'm going to show you some of the local search functionality here. So, for example, I don't know, maybe we could find a casino in Las Vegas. And they've got some great AJAX technology going on here that is accessing virtual Earth. So they've built kind of an AJAX call to actually get the categories, to get the actual location. And then you can see here some of the customization capabilities on virtual Earth. When I showed you our live search map site, I was showing you, standard orange push pins or red push pins or whatever. Well, here's some customization capabilities, right? I've got this green icon. I've got my hover, which comes with the platform. But then they've customized the actual div that comes up on top of it. A little icon for the flag, a little fading technique, some text, and actually a link. So I can actually click on the link and see more information about that hotel, that location. And then they've got this virtual map concept where they're saying, here's a map of the entire world. And for any given one of these flags, I can see how many members are in each continent. Surprisingly, there's none in Antarctica yet. But for the other 6, there actually are people there. And you can actually dive down. If you want to do North America, you can do that. And dive down and see all of the members in North America. And this is actually going to be broken down by state here for the most part. And you can see, population not being actual population, but the population of Wayne members that are around the U.S. or per state. So some pretty cool stuff, right? Custom push pins, some information on top of the push pin. In the hover, I still got my satellite hybrid photos, 3Ds. They didn't enable bird's eye, but I can always turn that on because I know the shortcuts for the keyboard. And so let's see how they did it. So there's 2 ways to do this. You can use our pushpin object or our shapes. We have the concept of shapes, which is consistent of pushpins, polygons, polylines, the vector information, right? Those go into shapes. But we also support XML file types, KML being one. So I figured, why not? This is an online conference. Let's show some online capabilities. Well, KML is becoming a part of what we call OGC. It's up for bid, and it's actually going to most likely be approved. So we support it. So if you've got KML files, you can actually switch to Virtual Earth and use them there. So how do we do this? Okay, just walk through this code here. I actually broke it down because that was a little hard to read. Let me go back. That's overview. So the first function here, I'm going to create a var for my map, of course, and then for the actual layer ID. So we have the concept of layers, of course. Any GIS guy is going to tell you, maps come in layers. So we've got layer ID number 1. Virtual Earth is always layer 0. Can't go below it just yet. Next thing you do is you get your map. You've seen this before. This is on the hello world. So what's new? And the programming model for this is pretty easy as well. You'll see why. So in order to add those push pins or add a KML layer into Virtual Earth, here's the code. First thing I'm going to do is an optional delete all shapes. So it's going to take all the shapes off of my map. Right? If I have any push pins there now, I want to clear them off because I'm going to add some new ones. Okay? I'm going to create a variable for my shape layer called L. Come on. There we go. Right there. Okay. Then I create a specification. I create a specification that has a type, which is the type of data layer I'm going to overlay. We actually support a few different types. Collections from live search maps. So if you create a collection, or basically your own itinerary of points in live search maps, you can grab the collection ID and use that. Or XML, which is GORSS, GPX, and KML. Right? We'll take that as the type. The source is coming from a text box, and this is code that I ripped from a little application that I wrote, so I'll show it to you in a second, and this will make sense in a sec. And then the value comes from a URL string. So you're just passing in, if you've got a KML file hosted somewhere, give me the URL string, I'll ingest it, parse it out. Yeah? Oh, I'm sorry. KML is Keyhole Markup Language. It's the main language that comes from Google Earth. So if you've got files in Google Earth, you can export them to a KML, and now we can render them in Virtual Earth. And then the actual layer at which the data is going to reside. Okay? Next bit of code is the import shape layer data. Excuse me. Import shape layer data method. So I'm going to take my spec that I just created. Then I'm going to have a callback. Right? I'll show you the callback in a second. But it's just basically allowing you, once the data is rendered, what else do you want to do? You want to do something else? Do that. We'll call this function that I created called onFeedLoad. Okay? And then I'm actually putting it into a specific shape layer right there. Right? So this is my callback. It's going to actually take the KML. It's going to pop up an alert that tells me the layer has been loaded and how many points are included in the KML file. And not just points, but polygons or polylines as well. Take that. And then here's my div. You already saw that. So really, the only new code that I showed you for importing KML is right here. Right? And my callback. So let me switch over to my little application here. Okay, so I actually took a chance, and these are KMLs that are on the web, and let's hope they have some data in them, right? So this is one hosted by NASA, gets updated every now and then. And all I have to do is pass in this URL, that was the text value, and there are 35 items included in this KML file. Rendered them natively right into Virtual Earth. And to prove it to you, here's the code. This is the same code I just showed you in the slide. I literally copy-pasted to the PowerPoint. But you can see the complexity of some of these polygons and the data included with them. So if you have KML files natively supported here, but we got the red push pin. Nasty, right? The basic red push pin, kind of boring. So I found one for the Utah government, actually, and USGS. 18 items. So what the control also does, and there's a Boolean in one of the methods that says, do you want to switch to the best map view? So it won't just stay in Thailand. I was just in Thailand. It moved me over to where the data points are. It zoomed out just to the right level to allow me to see all my points. And you'll see here, we've actually got some custom icons and custom divs. Right? We've got a little icon. We've got some text, some font characters there. We've got a link off to the site. So some pretty powerful stuff there. And very, very flexible. Okay? So the next site I want to show you is a site called iFly. And iFly is, if you haven't heard of iFly, they do flight tracking. Okay? And it's actually a pretty neat site. I had never heard of it until the guy reached out to me and he said, hey, I'm using your Virtual Earth stuff, and I was wondering if you might be interested. I'm like, let me see what you got. So this is a pretty neat site. Let me go there. So for any airline, for any flight in the sky on any given day, you can track the flight in real time. And I say real time because FAA is actually 10-minute delay, right, for security. But you can put in any airline code, flight number. We're just going to track some out of Las Vegas here. This is a list, a huge list of all the airports. This could use an AJAX control right here. But we're going to... So I want to see all the flights leaving McCarran out of Las Vegas. Okay? Give me a nice table. And I looked at this morning, and it was pretty classic. Every flight to the East Coast was canceled. I have no idea why, but something's going on over there. So let's get a long one. Let's see if we can get a long one. I have no idea where Hector International Airport is, so let's track that flight. So what you see here, they've got a 2D map loaded up, right? Anybody go to Hector? I don't know. Apparently it's near Fargo. And so I can see it at any time. I can see the actual plane. I can see where it is in lat long and whatnot on the map. I got a vector rendered here to show me the path. The yellow is what it actually took, and the red is projected, right? So we can center on the plane here. But we can also switch to 3D. This is where it becomes kind of interesting, okay? And this is much more effective with hybrid mode. And I can play wingman. And you can actually see the plane off the ground. So we've got this immersive 3D environment, and we get altitude. We've got a custom icon. You can imagine they're planning on skinning these planes, right? Different brands of airlines allows you for maybe a monetization opportunity, I don't know. Cockpit view, if I want to sit in the cockpit, here's what it's like. And if I sit here long enough, I think it refreshes every 30 seconds or something, it'll actually refresh this map. It'll move the plane. You'll watch it fly. Now, if you had 4 hours, you could watch the plane fly to Hector, right? I don't know. But it'll actually move itself. So I wanted to show how they actually did this. Okay, so this little bit is about rendering vectors in 3D. The good news is it's the same as 2D. You just flip a switch. So this code should look very familiar by now. Almost all of our applications start the same way. And what I did here was I created an array. And this obviously isn't the best way to do it. You probably want to do this programmatically, but for illustrative purposes, I've just created an array of vertices, which I'm going to create a polygon. Okay? So instead of doing a line, I'm going to do polygons. I'm going to actually show you a plume model. Anyone know what a plume model is? It's what happens when an explosion happens. It blows out, right? And you do that over time, so you can do multiple plumes, right? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Okay? So for this one, this is just one of the shapes that I created. I've actually got 3 polygons that I'm going to render to illustrate the concept of a plume. And I'm just going to stick all those right in my nice little JavaScript array there. Okay? I'm not saying this is best practice for creating arrays in JavaScript, but when you're creating them out of your databases and whatnot, this is effectively a way to go about it. So, here we go. First thing we need to do is create a shape. And I mentioned earlier, shapes are our vector data rendering tool. Okay? Pushpins, polygons, polylines. So we're going to render a polygon. First line, I'm going to instantiate the shape. I'm going to create it as a polygon. That line of code does not change across different shapes. So polygons, polylines, and pushpins, you just change the type. VE shape type, polygon. VE shape type, pushpin. VE shape type, polyline. Okay? And then I'm going to pass in my array of points. Okay? Then there's some optional things. I can set the line color for the border. And we support RGB. So those 4 parameters, the first 3 are RGB. And then the last one's opacity. Okay? So you can create opaqueness. Then I'm going to set the line width. So I can make a real fat border or a real skinny one. And then I'm going to set the fill color, also RGB and opacity. Then I'm going to set the map mode, and this is what I'm going to do in the application I'm going to show you. Okay, so for this application, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to 3D mode. Okay, and you can do this when you load the map. You don't have to load the map in 2D and then switch to 3D. When you load the map, you can actually switch to 3D right away. Okay, I'm going to change the map style to hybrid, because by default, without any parameters, it loads in road format, or cartographic map style. And then I'm going to actually add the shape to the map. So I'm going to take that shape and add it right to the map, right? So that's the call that's going to render data on top of the map right there, that method there. Then I'm going to set the center, and I hard-coded this one. The VE lat long is an object that it's just a lat long, right? In order to instantiate a lat long for virtual Earth, you have to have a VE lat long. Okay? Well, typically, when you render a polygon, you want to do a calculation so that the center point renders itself. But for illustrative purposes, again, I'm just doing it this way so you can see this is how you would do it. So typically, this would be a programmatic call. And then I'm going to set the altitude. Because I'm going to be in 3D, I can actually set the altitude of my polygon. So I can raise it up, kind of like a pup tent, if I wanted to. And then I've got an alert to catch any problems. We hope for no problems. Then I've got a method here to remove the polygon, and tons of code here to remove every single vertices and the colors and all that. One line, right? Okay, and that shape will delete the specific shape that I pass in. So I'm going to have 3 shapes. I'm going to pass in for my 3 different plumes, and then I'm going to delete them one at a time. So let's see that. So here is virtual Earth, plain old map. Now remember, in my code, I'm going to switch to 3D, switch the map style, render a polygon, and zoom down to that actual polygon, okay, in one call, in one click. So there we go. All right, so that's the first set of vertices that I passed in. So that's my polygon, right? Clark County. Ooh. Then I'm going to pass in a polygon for the strip. Then I'm going to pass in one for just the Venetian Hotel. And as I zoom down, you can see this data. So the concept here for a plume model is if an explosion were to happen at this hotel, within 1 minute is the red zone. Within 5 minutes, orange. And within 20 minutes, yellow. And there are GIS tools out there that make this computation. I'm just showing you that you can render it on virtual Earth, in 3D no less. And the models stay there too. So it's kind of cool. You can actually see the boundaries of the hotel here, but still illustrate. This projector hates me. Jeez. Like I said, it works in 2D also. Same programming model, just switch modes. I'm going to switch back to 3D because I just like it better. I hope it works, my goodness. Okay. So here are my plumes, if you will. And then I can just remove them using that map.delete shape. Take them all off. And just view one. So effective tools for mapping, but also in 3D, right? Pretty cool stuff. All right. So that's how they did that. Very simple. Okay. One other site I wanted to show you is Harley-Davidson. And funny story, I actually had a problem yesterday. I logged onto Harley-Davidson's ride planner site, right? And I was like, hey, having a problem here. It says you can't save routes right now. What's going on? He's like, oh, we're rolling out a new release tomorrow. That was today. And I'm like, you realize I'm demonstrating your site at MIX tomorrow, right? And they're just like, I got to call you back. They did the release this morning, and it worked. So I don't know if it's going to be nice to me, so just wanted to forewarn you. Okay. So you can use this direct URL if you want, but they like you to go through their front door. So Harley-Davidson has a huge dedicated user base of bike riders, right? And so this is their new site. This literally rolled out about 4 hours ago. So you may be seeing this for the first time. I don't know if you guys are obsessive with Harley, but I know I am. And they've got some pretty cool features here. Okay, I'm going to dive into Vegas first of all. And we can turn on roads. Okay, so Ride Planner allows you to create routes, right? They also have what they call great roads. Great roads are, I just want to see some cool roads. Okay, I want to see, I just got this fat Harley. I have no idea what to do with it. Right? I'm riding around my neighborhood, and I'm the coolest guy in the neighborhood, but where else should I go? Okay? This is, the Great Roads application is just for that user, but the Ride Planner uses both Great Roads and Ride Planner capabilities. Ride Planner meaning I can plan my ride, right? So I can turn on some roads here, and you can see these different colored icons represent different types of roads, okay? These pink ones used to be all they had, and those were submitted by a company called Byways, okay? So they just took roads from Byways and rendered them onto the map. Well, then they said, we've got all these users submitting routes to us because they had this tool, but they weren't displaying them anywhere. So they were actually taking these roads from users, but not using them. All right, so now for any one of these, we can actually click and show the road. And they've got some great rendering capabilities here, built right on top of Virtual Aura. So this is actually a big one. Oh, I better zoom out for this one. So there's a killer route. Now that's hardcore. That is hardcore right there. And you'll notice as I navigate, they've got some Ajax in the background, backfilling different roads. But they also have this concept of, what? That is a killer route. That's probably going to take 2 days. Might need some hotels. Bam, monetization opportunity with Best Western. Okay? I can click on this, book using special rates for Harley-Davidson. Effectively, Harley-Davidson can cover their costs of using this mapping platform with booking through their site to Best Western. Now, how many Harley riders are going to choose this over Best Western? I would say about 99% of them. Hey, I'm right here. Harley recommends Best Western? Me too. Right on. Right? Well, that's cool. And you're probably going to need some gas. So they actually added fuel stations. And this is new from Shell. Again, another monetization opportunity. And then they've got this 106th anniversary route. And 105th anniversary route. So 105 years of Harley-Davidson, right? Rendering these cool routes. I can show any one of these at any given time. It's going to back up. It's going to show me the route. Cross country. Anybody up for that one? I've been to Sturgis, which is a big biker rally, and there are people who do this ride. They will ride from Daytona to Sturgis. It's pretty wild. Real dedication there. But that's neither here nor there. I'm going to show you why I'm really showing you this app, because this is very cool. But the real magic is the Ride Planner capabilities. So let's say I wanted to create a route. Let's say I brought my bike, this bike, excuse me, to this hotel, right? So this is where I want to start my route. I'm actually staying right here, and I'm going to add a location. Okay? All right, now where do I want to go? Well, let's head out this way, and I don't know, we'll just find some park here, and that location. So now, I don't know if I actually did that. Add location, there we go. So now it's created a route for me, right on the fly. Okay? But you know what? I need to stop at the airport first. So we can add waypoint. In the airport first. And you know what? I should probably get some gas along the way. Should I do? You know what? I want to make this a little more scenic. While I'm here, I'm just going to drag this over here. And it'll change my route. But you know what? This is the gas station that my friend owns, so I'm going to go here. And I'm going to add that to my ride. I'll modify my route. So it's creating this route for me on the fly, and I've kind of got a mess going on here, right? So I need to remove some of these. I'm going to remove this one, for example. And ultimately, you know, I may be a Harley rider, but I'm a nerd at heart. I want to end up at Area 51 because I'm pretty close, right? Bam. And it continues to refresh. For any given route that I show from users, I can also do some printing functionality here. But, I mean, how killer is it to be able to just drag this route and change and modify your route just like that? Some good stuff. And it looks cool on Mixed as well. Now you see here, you know, I'm a Harley rider. 1 second, please. And this is cool and all, but wouldn't it be cool in 3D? They hate when I do this because they don't want me to do this. But if you hit 3 on your keyboard, it just changes. And this projector hates 3D. I don't know what its problem is, but so now I can actually see this route in 3D with all of my stops, and all the buildings will render. So some pretty powerful stuff. The key here is the route geometry being pushed down through the client to allow for this capabilities to happen. Spatial querying going on in the background. Tons of things happening. This is a really exciting app. So what else? I wanted to announce today, with the release of Visual Studio 2008, a new tool that one of our evangelists created. It is if you've ever developed in Virtual Earth, you're back in Notepad, right? Or you're using Visual Studio, and it's painful. Well, with the JavaScript IntelliSense capabilities in Visual Studio 2008, proud to announce compliments of Mark Schweigert, the Virtual Earth JavaScript IntelliSense tool library. I think we're calling it thank you. The Virtual Earth JavaScript IntelliSense helper is what we're officially calling it. And let me tell you what, I just want to personally thank Mark because it is a lifesaver. And I've got it here. Okay, JavaScript in Visual Studio. Kill me now. Right? Not anymore. Here we go. How about this? Map.load. All the parameters built right in. I'm cheating, in case you didn't notice, but yeah. Oops, I need a new lat long, new VE lat long. Bam. What are my coordinates? 36 dot 144 and negative 115. No, I'm not geocoding in my head. I'm copying from above. So zoom level 15, VE map style. And these are, I mentioned earlier that the map.load function or method had a lot of different parameters. Well, these are them. Style, oops. That might be my Harley site. I really have no idea what that is. Okay, sorry. So style dot, let's go Arial. Seriously. Let's see, where were we? Boolean fixed, and the fixed method just locks a map down. So if you don't want it to move, you just set that to true. We're going to do false. The map mode, and this is where you can set 3D by default. We're going to sit with 2D. So some pretty cool stuff here to allow Virtual Earth development in Visual Studio, finally. And then we could do map.load traffic. This is actually true. And we've got map.show any map. I know how exciting it is to watch somebody code, but you just have to see this. So the XY offset for the mini map, which is a small navigation. and then VE minimap size dot small. Okay. Let's hope this works. Let me build it. Now, according to Mark, this was actually kind of a collaboration of 11 different people that came together, posted this on Codeplex, and basically a lot of people participated in this. So this is kind of an open community project. And he brought it to the product group, and I was excited. The product group's like, I don't know. And I'm like, no, we're getting this out there now. And it's available today. You can download it directly from Codeplex. So go to codeplex.com/VEJS. Mark's blog is up there. He's going to do a posting. He's going to follow up on it. So if you guys have questions, hit up Mark. You could also ask me, but I really don't know anything about it yet, other than, it's pretty damn cool. So exciting stuff. And you know what? No more Notepad. I've been I was a Visual Studio developer for C# for 4 years. Virtual Earth rolls out. I'm back in Notepad. It seems like we roll out new technology. I got to go back. But now I'm back in Visual Studio. I'm refamiliarizing myself with VS 2008. And I'm excited. I'm excited because we've got some other cool things coming there too. So thank you, Mark. Awesome. He's over there if you guys want an autograph. So also I wanted to mention up here before the end of this, I still got about 20 minutes or so don't run out yet. I've got these posters. These are one of a kind. There's 75 of them available. They are MIX exclusive. So feel free to come up and get one and have Mark sign it. He'll autograph them for you. Okay, what about licensing? I get hit so many times with licensing. So here we go. Virtual Earth is a free API. Okay? What is the pricing? It's free. Okay? What are the benefits? It's the same as the licensed version. Okay? Wait, you just said it was free. Yeah, there's some stipulations around free. Okay? Number one, non-commercial applications. I'm a mashup developer. I just built a cool app. I want to use Virtual Earth. Can I use it? Yes. I am an enterprise company. I want to use Virtual Earth. Can I use it for free? No, I'm sorry. Okay? No reverse engineering. Right? You can't reverse engineer Virtual Earth. Don't do it. But if you got a license, that's the next slide. 50,000 geocodes per day. That's the only stipulation. 50,000 geocodes per day. How many geocodes do you really think you're going to do? And if you want to geocode your data, just to get the geocodes of data that doesn't change, you can actually use Map Point Web Service for free too. We have a batch geocoder. Send your locations up, pull them down. As long as you use the geocoder for Virtual Earth or Map Point Web Service maps, go nuts. There's more terms, but I just wanted to give kind of a high-level summary. Those are the big rocks for the free API. I mean, we don't want to stifle innovation. We want to see more people developing on Virtual Earth. We're not going to keep you from doing it, right? What about licensing? For the enterprise customers sitting in the audience, here's what it looks like. We have 3 methods for pricing: per user, per transaction, like cell phone, and unlimited. I want a flat fee. I don't know how much I'm going to use. I have this much money. Can I get that? Yes. Okay. It's a waterfall schedule if you go transaction-based. The more you buy up front, the cheaper it is per transaction. Okay? You buy 1 million transactions, you may pay, 008 per transaction. You buy 100 million transactions, you may pay 0003 per transaction. Something like that. Commitments, we'll take a 1, 2, 3, or 4-year commitment. That's how dedicated we are to this platform. 4 years. You want to sign up for 4 years? Guaranteed. We'll keep it up. It's fast-moving technology. We may require you to upgrade, but we'll keep the platform intact. Guaranteed. Up to 4 years. Because we don't know what's coming. Right? That's the real problem. We don't know what's next. We do, but we're not going to tell you. No, I'm just kidding. So the benefits of getting a license versus the free API. You get SLA, right? You get guaranteed uptime, 99.9%. If we do not meet that, you get money back. We'll write you a check. Okay? You get early access to betas, like what I'm going to show you after this. You get early access, early developer access. You get communications from us every month. Newsletter. Hey, guess what's next? Cool things rolling out. Okay? You get the technical adoption program. Get to be a part of that. You know, we fly 8 companies up to Redmond every 6 months, and we just talk about what's coming. What's on your mind? What do you want to see? We want to build what you want. And then advanced features. Now, wait a minute. You just said that it's the same. Yeah, it is. For now. That's not to say in the future we're not going to allow certain advanced features for our paying customers. And then the restrictions are actually limited. Look at someone like weather.com. Okay, they're using Flash. Whoa, we don't have Flash control. How do they do that? They're hitting the tile server directly, right? They're hitting our tiles and then pulling it into this Flash control that they created themselves. Well, yeah, they have a license, and we allow that. Well, I'm a mashup developer, and I want a Flash application. Here's your license. Let me get it. Those are the kind of advantages for licensing versus not, right? We don't want somebody to go, and download all of our tile set. Who knows? I don't know who's got a pen drive that's 15 petabytes, but if you have one, I'd love to see it. It's probably about this big. But we just don't want that to happen, right? Just to come straight up and tell everyone about that. Okay, so I promised a preview, right? And I think everybody in the room knows what this is, but the theme of this show is pretty obvious, okay? I was actually sitting outside the press room listening to some guy talk to the press, and they were talking about Deep Zoom, okay? And Deep Zoom is technology that came out of Live Labs from an acquisition called Sea Dragon. So what if we took Virtual Earth and incorporated Silverlight and Sea Dragon? What if? For the first time, outside of the walls of Redmond, they officially supported Silverlight Virtual Earth control. Very smooth and slick. Methods built in, zooming out, zooming down a certain amount of level, zooming out, a certain level, zooming up to a certain level, zooming down. I mean, how slick is the interface here, right? It's pretty insane. I want to set the center at a certain point. I want to set the center at a different point. I want to set the boundaries of the map at a certain point, right? Maybe a different point. Now, Silverlight's all about media, right? But what I didn't really finish my story. When I was sitting there watching this guy doing a press interview, the interviewer said, wow, this Silverlight stuff's awesome, and the deep zoom, wow, that's killer. You know what would be awesome? Live Earth. And I was just sitting there kind of laughing because he didn't know who I was. And I was just working away, and I didn't say anything. I didn't want him to know. But I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to show that. But Silverlight's all about media, right? So I just added a little picture, actually a rather big picture, to the map. And the picture will scale with me zooming. And with deep zoom, I can get extremely close. It's a pretty low resolution picture. I should say relatively low resolution. Because each picture in Virtual Earth is actually almost a gig. But, and I can add something that's a little more integrated, like this forest picture. Makes it look like a part of nature, right? So how do I do it? Well, I'm using XAML in the back end. I'm not going to show you a whole lot of code. with the actual control itself, but these methods that are capturing these XAML pieces of information look something like this. So I've just got a media element, and you'll have to ignore the comments because I'm going to use those. But we've got this method here called set the bounds. So what that does is it sets the bounds of the map. So right here, I've got this nice little box. And again, it won't look like this because this is a test, but the interface is effectively the same. I'm going to execute that, and it's going to take me somewhere special. This is a part of the Microsoft campus that is under development. Those buildings are gone. This is a dated photograph, but the construction has happened so fast. These photographs are actually about 6 months old, but those buildings are gone, completely gone. And I want to add some media. So our real estate team actually went out and created this killer video in Virtual Earth, and I'm just like, can I show this? This is really awesome. Oh yeah, sure. And it is the development of our new campus. So right here, and I got some cool music. So right inside of the Silverlight control, we can place some media. The media can correspond with the map. So right now I've just got a static video that shows, zooming in on Virtual Earth 3D. Got some cool stuff. There's a freeway. I could have lined it up with a freeway, right? Make it all scale, but I've got this media running right inside of the Silverlight control. I should say on top of the Silverlight control. Yeah, we're really spoiled at Microsoft. That's our new West Side campus. And it's pretty incredible. But they did this video in Virtual Earth 3D, and I thought it was really awesome because of all these 3D renderings, and the actual maps on the ground are Virtual Earth 3D. Like, wow, that's really awesome. So, kudos to the artist who did this because it was really awesome. But I don't want to bore you with our new campus. So, let me switch back here. So expect that in the very, very near future. Is it available today? No. But I thought because you were here at MIX, you might want to see something very, very cool, very Silverlight. But you can bet your bottom dollar that we are definitely working on it, and you'll see it very, very soon. So now what? I wrote the hands-on lab. Mark Brown is actually in the lab. So there's a Virtual Earth hands-on lab that you can do. I noticed in this magazine here that came in all your bags, there's a killer article on Virtual Earth by John O'Brien that you should definitely read. It's like 6 pages, and it's called Virtual Earth, What's New in the Latest Release. I mean, it's a really great article. I didn't even know he did it. So I was kind of blown away. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then also, go to dev.live.com. That's where all of the Windows Live assets are for development. There's tons of APIs out there. There's a big announcement at this conference for the Messenger API. Do some integration with Virtual Earth. It's out there. You can do it. Go to Codeplex. Get the JavaScript IntelliSense. Download Visual Studio 2008 beta. That's available as well today. And then go to the sandbox. I'm going to head down there right after this. I'm going to take questions here in a second. But just wanted to give everybody just kind of a heads up of, okay, I love Virtual Earth. What do I go do now? This is what you're going to do. Also, come up and get posters. If you want one, I've got rubber bands so you can roll them up. And then any questions, feel free to ask them now. And there's just some other information. If you want to read my blog, if you want to email me, if you want to add me to your spam list, go ahead. But if there's any questions, I'd be happy to take them right now. Yeah?
How hard is it to do the flybys?
How hard is it to do the flybys? You mean in...
Here's my route. I'm from here to here. Show me.
Here's my route in 3D?
Yeah.
So here's my route. I got to repeat your question. So here's my route. I want to drive through it. The routing is actually a little more difficult than flying because what's going to happen is by definition, virtual Earth or natively, it will actually zoom out to space to your next spot. So the actual routing through 3D is not available. Not yet. Yeah?
If we want to keep up on the when is this coming to Silverlight stuff, we just subscribe to your blog? Is there something in emails that get sent out? What?
Subscribe to my blog.
Okay.
Yep. If you guys could step up to the mic, that'd be awesome. That way I don't have to repeat them. Yeah.
As far as Harley-Davidson did the routing rather, is that available in the library to do routing by giving a collection of
The route geometry will be exposed in our next release, which is April.
April. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
When do you consider an enterprise commercial? Like, if it's a marketing site or advertising, if it's just a brand site, is that considered a commercial site, or do they have to make money off of it?
Yeah, it's basically if you make money off of it.
So if it's just like a advertising or gaming or
Not necessarily. It's kind of great. You should email me directly,
Okay,
and I'll get
cool.
you a straight answer. Depends on the situation.
Are you thinking about enabling offline scenarios? For
Offline scenario, absolutely. In fact, we have what we call our VE appliance. That's actually available today. You can check my blog for that. And that's a behind-the-firewall scenario that would allow you to do some caching of data locally. So,
Excellent. And can you potentially give this to customers in a CD or something like that so that they don't need to have any internet connection at all at any time?
they'll need to do some kind of connection to update, but effectively the cache is,
Okay.
they'll be running off the cache.
Great, cool.
Hi.
Hi.
What I'm actually looking for is a WPF desktop
Yes.
virtual Earth control.
Yes.
Anything interesting happening there?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Keep your eyes open for that one.
The limit of 50,000 geocodes per 24 hours, is that negotiable?
Is what negotiable? I missed that.
The limit of 50,000 geocodes per day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And well, obviously if you want a license, it's fully negotiable, but
Yeah.
if you just want to be a mashup developer, I got to use more than 50,000 a day, we're not going to shut you down. I know that somebody else will shut you down
Yeah.
after you hit that limit. We don't shut you down.
All right.
But we'll probably email you and say, hey, would you be interested in a license?
Yeah.
Because you're violating terms of use.
But as long as you got a license, probably no problem.
Oh, but with a license, you're pretty much free to do whatever you want.
Great.
Yeah.
Just with the new Silverlight control coming out, if I have a GeoTIFF world file with like for a city or something, can I overlay that on virtual Earth
A TIFF file?
or a GeoTIFF, Mr.
Yeah.
Sid or something?
Not natively, but you can take the rasterized version of that, crunch it, right, through the map cruncher tool, and in 3D or 2D, it'll lay on top of a 2D, no problem. On 3D, it'll lay on top and contour in, but it will actually also be under the buildings. So I got a cool site, actually. Let me show you a site that you guys can check out. And I'm supposed to leave, but I have 10 minutes left, so I don't have to leave. So if you guys go to 3dgeomaps.com, this is, I might still be in 3D here. I need to kill IE. 1 second. Oh, yeah. And, oh, yes. Goodbye. There. And you know what? Let's switch to Firefox. So this is an example of a map-crunched site in 3D. So they took these geological maps of Grand Canyon and rasterized them, put them right on top of our 3D client, and you can see here that they fill into the contours of our 3D geometric mesh. Yeah.
Chris, what about the managed 3D control?
Yes, the managed 3D control is available today, but it's completely undocumented and unsupported.
Is that one with the Ghostbusters?
Yeah, you've seen the ghosts. Yeah, exactly.
It's been out for 2 years now.
Yeah, the only thing we have for documentation is, one of the guys on the team blogged about it. We're looking for full support of that, but most likely we're going to move more towards the mana control in Silverlight or WPF.
Yeah. So the Silverlight group does work on that, or can we
Probably.
expect that?
We hope so.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Oh, yeah, sure.
With the Silverlight move, are you still going to support licensed clients who wants to use Flash?
Yes,
You are, okay.
absolutely. If you have a license, we bow down to you. Can you? Okay, I'll repeat it.
I'm wondering how detailed the worldwide data is, and also in significantly less populated areas, open ocean, open desert, how detailed we are there.
Right. So the question is about details about our map coverage. We have the whole world in a map at a very high level: major highways, country names, points of interest, city names, capitals, that kind of thing. The route data is only available in 74 countries. And when I say that, it's not because we're not trying. It's because it's just not available. Take Mexico, for example. We get most of our data from a company called Navtech. And Mexico is a very difficult country to get good route geometry from. Mexico City, awesome, and we've got it. But you go down, Dirt Road Juarez, I mean, it's just the names of the roads are labeled by the people who live there. And they all call it something different. So it's very difficult to get good data. And then the other side of that is, you look at countries who limit the exportation of their data, right? So, countries like China, the data won't leave China, right? But we have China maps, so.
What about, unpopulated areas in terms of the resolution of photography?
Oh, the photography, yeah. So right now, I'll be honest with you, for some of the worldwide locations, it's not very good. But we're going to fix that. You're going to see that fixed in the next 12 months. We're doing a lot of aggressive flying. We're doing our own flying at this point, which is pretty awesome because we have to do the flying for our 3D client to get those building models. So, and those buildings are available in like 300 cities around the world, not just Vegas, New York, LA. It's around the world. So, 3D data is refreshed. Actually, we've never refreshed anywhere yet in 3D. But the imagery, depending on the area, is refreshed every 1 to 2 years. Oh, you caught that, huh? Yeah, I know. I'm staying at Palazzo, and it's just like a construction site. No, they built that in like a month. Our photos are 2 months old. I'm totally kidding. The Vegas photos are about a year old, I think. Maybe a year and a half old, because Vegas was one of the first 3D cities we rolled out. So.
Do you have a slide on a comparison between Google Earth and Virtual Earth?
Yes.
Or is it on the slide somewhere?
No. Because then Google will have it.
It's like one of the big things that we saw is like no client download the 3D without opening up a separate application.
Yeah.
Great. But it would help if we had like a material that we could.
Yeah, from a enterprise perspective, I can provide that to you under NDA. Absolutely. But I always get that question: Virtual Earth versus Google Earth? Why should I pick you? And number one, bird's eye. You're not going to see bird's eye on Google. Okay. Number two, our 3D client is in browser. They've got Google Earth, that client. And then number three, we have a single platform. They have two platforms that they talk to each other now. It's kind of nice, but two different platforms. Plus, we're an enterprise platform company. I go on, but yeah. Yeah.
One thing that's missing from online maps in general is parcel data, especially in the U.S. where the government's all screwed up as far as unifying that data. Yep. If you go to Australia, for example, in Google Maps, you'll see all the parcel data. Are you going to do anything to improve that situation here in the U.S.?
Absolutely.
Go on.
But yeah, in short order, you'll see a lot of data coming down from Virtual Earth, making some huge investments there. I can't obviously give specifics, but certainly parcel data is very interesting to us.
Can we talk more later?
Absolutely. I'll be in the sandbox, by the way.
What about browser support, Safari?
We got Safari support, 2.0. We're going to have 3.0 in a couple months because when we rolled out our last release, it was only in beta. So now we support Safari 2.0, Firefox 2.0 and above, and IE 6 and 7. Don't go to our live search site on IE 8. I don't know why it doesn't work. So don't download IE 8. No, I'm kidding. Download IE 8. Try it out. But we're going to fix the IE 8. There's style sheet problems because it works great in Firefox and Safari, and IE 8 works with those. And we built 2 sets of style sheets, and now we don't have to. So.
Just yesterday, Google had some restrictions about the military bases. Does it impact you also?
They have restriction about?
The military bases and the roads about that and are not supposed to be shown on Google Maps, if I'm right.
I'm not familiar with anything that Google's done yesterday. I didn't.
Do you show the military bases on the virtual Earth?
I can't understand what you're saying. I'm sorry.
Military.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, actually, we take that stuff very seriously. In terms of, Google's been under a lot of pressure with exposing certain areas at high resolution, White House, that kind of thing. Our photography obfuscates some of those areas. They got hit pretty hard about 9 months ago because they showed high resolution imagery of nuclear plants. But you know what? If I'm a terrorist, I'm not going to rely on Google to look at the photo that's like 2 years old of a nuclear power plant. They're going to go there, right? So it's not something that we don't take lightly. We certainly do. But the reality is, if I'm a terrorist, I'm going to go there and I'm going to look at it. Maybe I'll use Google to find directions on how to get there. But I'm not going to plan my bombing attack using Google Earth, right?
Google currently has the ability that the Harley site did to be able to reroute by dragging around. Are you guys planning on introducing that?
Yeah, so I'm on the platform side of things, and I really pissed off our consumer team because I helped Harley-Davidson do that. Yeah, absolutely, we want to do that, and you'll see that coming very soon. Yeah.
Given an address, is there a way to find latitude and longitude? Can you show me?
Yeah, sure. There's a method in Virtual Earth for getting lat longs. Actually, I'm going to close Firefox. That was just kind of funny. If you go to our interactive SDK, actually we have 2 SDKs. One's on MSDN, one's in interactive, so you can actually see applications working, switch to the source code, copy, paste, run. Super easy. I invite you to go. That's off dev.live.com. And you can actually, let's see, it's on the find method, so find a location. Wow, I remembered that. That's scary. So yeah, just doing find. You pass in a parameter. There's what, where as a part of find, and then you do a callback to get the lat long. That's part of our find call. So you do map.find. Or if you have 10,000 locations and you want to batch them, you send them up to MapPoint Web Service, and they'll spin through, send you the file back down. It's a SOAP XML web service.
For the free version, is there any limit on how many we can query per day?
50,000.
Can I do all this without .NET 3.5, 3.6, can I just do it all AJAX?
Yeah, can you do this without .NET and all that? Absolutely. This is just JavaScript. That's correct. You don't need .NET, you don't need C#, you don't need COBOL. Anything. Yeah.
Currently, the map control supports everything in English, with the exception of Japan. Do you have any plans to support localized toponymy?
Man, I was hoping that question would come up. No, in all honesty, yes. There are plans to localize. What our competitor does is they localize what they call neutral ground truth. So when you're in France, you're in French, not English. But we're going to actually have the concept of a culture, so you can switch the culture out and render the labels in the appropriate language. So absolutely. You'll see that in the next, 6 months or so. Mobile devices. Yeah, good question. So yesterday's announcement about Silverlight on mobile shocked me. So most likely we're going to roll out a Silverlight client for mobile. Don't quote me on that one. You're all bloggers, so you'll quote me. But I would say most likely you're going to see a move toward that. Right now, we're kind of leveraging the MapPoint web service. We do have a service that allows you to draw virtual Earth maps on mobile devices, but we haven't documented it. We haven't exposed it very widely. But definitely mobile's a huge focus for us. So you'll see something coming out soon. Yeah.
I got a question. Yeah, back to the geotip for the image on it.
Yeah.
Right now we get passively cruncher and a map cruncher and do this, but if these images are 1.7 gig,
Yeah.
and the deep image just seems like a better fit for that. Would that be a support? Would that be something worth waiting for, or?
No. Switch to virtual Earth now, and then upgrade to the Silverlight. In all seriousness, I don't know. That's a lot of data to crunch, but that's a pretty high resolution image you got there. So I would say you can do it today, but if you're interested in Silverlight and you're more focused on a Silverlight development, I would wait, for the Silverlight control to be exposed. But if you just, if you're doing Ajax for the next 3 years, you're not going to adopt Silverlight for another 3 years, then your best off just going virtual Earth Ajax today. That I cannot say, but it's working. Effectively it's almost done. So very soon. Yeah. Yeah, I'll take one more.
Are you saying you should not use Silverlight for freedom?
No, oh my God, no! Please don't misinterpret that one. Use the Silverlight control will, you joker. No, use Silverlight today, 2.0, and then you'll get virtual Earth very soon after that. Okay, but they're cutting me off, so I'll be at the Sandbox. Thanks everybody for coming. Really appreciate it. Great.